major hormones. So we learned when we covered the nervous system that this organ right here secretes melatonin. And what is that organ?
Pineal
Pineal
gland.
gland. We learned that this organ right here, the W and all the space underneath the thalamus, secretes 9 major different hormones, the hypothalamus. And we also learned that the organ that hangs down from here secretes hormones, and that is the pituitary gland. So pituitary gland is not shown on this one. Dominique, if you can grab the other N2 half that has the pituitary gland, then we can show that pituitary gland. Thank you. Over here. So over here we have the pituitary gland. And this little stalk that connects the pituitary gland, we learned last time the name of it? Infundibular stalk, right? The infundibula. Infundibula. And so this is the pituitary. And what's this organ over here?
I can't see.
This organ over here?
I think it's
Pineal gland. And what would be this organ right here?
Hypothalamus.
Hypothalamus. Very good. All right. So we've got that. Now, when we look at the pituitary gland, we're going to see in lecture that we're going to divide the pituitary gland into 2 parts. So on this model right here, the pituitary gland is this organ right here, number 1. And so what they did was they took this number 1 and they blew it up over here. So this represents the pituitary, and here's that infundibula. So notice there are 2 parts. One is the anterior, one is the posterior. What we'll learn in lecture is that the posterior is just axons that extend down from the hypothalamus. They're axons, and they're all parallel to each other. That's the posterior pituitary. So based on that description, which one, number 2 or number 3, would you say is the posterior pituitary?
3.
Number 3, very good. So number 3 here is the posterior pituitary, made up of the axons that extend all the way down from the hypothalamus. And then number 2 is the anterior pituitary. So we'll talk in detail about those a little bit later. Okay. Another endocrine organ that we have is this endocrine organ right here. Does everybody remember the name of this endocrine organ? The
Thyroid gland.
The thyroid gland. We also have another endocrine organ that hangs down all the way here and hangs on top of the heart. What is that called? The thymus gland, but it's not shown on this model. We only have one model, remember that shows it, I'll pull it out in a moment. These are also endocrine organs. They secrete hormones. What is the name of these organs?
Lungs.
The lungs. This is also an endocrine organ. What's the name of that organ?
Which one?
The heart. This is also an endocrine organ. What's the name of this organ? The stomach. What's the name? This is also an endocrine organ.
Small intestine.
Small intestine. This is also an endocrine organ.
Large intestine.
Large intestines. You may not have known that. You have certain organs that you typically think are endocrine organs. Here's our stomach, a full view of our stomach. And then this organ right here is an endocrine organ. Pancreas, secreting insulin and glucagon. Then if I take off the small and the large intestine and that pancreas, again, here's the view of the pancreas, a view from the back. If we take that off, this is also an endocrine organ. Kidneys. This is also an endocrine organ. Adrenal glands, the adrenal glands. Not the spleen. The spleen is not an endocrine organ, one of the few. And then if I look here, this organ, let me take it out so you can see a little bit better. This is an endocrine organ.
Testicles.
These are the testes or testicles. Very good. All right, so those are all the major endocrine organs in this model. We can also see a few more in this model. So this right here, identify this endocrine organ. Thyroid gland. Can you see right here this cartilage? We're going to call this the thyroid cartilage soon. And then below it is the thyroid gland. Okay? And then if I take number 5, the thyroid gland, and blow it up, this is what it looks like. Here's your thyroid gland. So it's made of 2 lobes that are connected in the middle. Now if I take the thyroid gland and turn it around to the back, can you see these 4 little masses of tissue right there, a kind of whitish color? Those are called parathyroid glands. The word para means beside or beyond. So the beside, right next to behind the thyroid glands, are the parathyroid glands, and those secrete hormones. Identify this endocrine organ. This is the heart. This is not intended to be the thymus gland. It's just a bunch of fat tissue, as we'll see when we dissect our sheep heart pretty soon. Identify this endocrine organ, pancreas, and if I take a section of the pancreas, put it under the microscope, this is what it's going to look like right here. So that's what this is trying to show. And then identify this endocrine organ,
Kidney.
and this endocrine organ,
Adrenal.
adrenal gland. If I take the adrenal gland and blow it up and take a little section, a slice, we see that it's made up of 2 layers. The outer layer is called the adrenal cortex. The middle layer is called the adrenal medulla. We already know the adrenal medulla because remember the sympathetic system has fibers that go to the adrenal medulla and stimulate it to secrete what? The hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine. And those all have the same effects that we studied for the sympathetic system, those same term effects but longer. And then if we look at this, is supposed to represent the uterus.
Yeah.
And so these right here would be
Ovaries.
ovaries. Those are endocrine organs. If I blow up the ovary, this is what it looks like. You can see the cells, the follicles, the eggs developing. And then this right here represents the testes. And if I take the testis and blow it up, this is what it looks like. Okay? So those are really the only 2 models that we have that show this one right here, the endocrine system.